Welcome! Today we're talking about this lovely 2017 Kia Soul EV. This one is 100% battery electric, no hybrid, no gas engine and batteries. It's just 100% electric. It's a really cool vehicle. If you're looking for a nice commuter vehicle, an electric Kia Soul would be a perfect one to consider. EVs obviously will save you a lot of money on gas, but the one less obvious thing that people don't think about saving money on with EVs is how much they'll save you on maintenance, because a gasoline engine has thousands of moving parts, where an electric motor and a battery is far simpler with far less moving parts, so there's a lot less things to go wrong, a lot less things to have to service. I have recently added an electric car to our family about a year ago, a Tesla Model 3. And that's another segue. Obviously, Teslas are very popular, but they're also very expensive. We paid about $50,000 for our Tesla, which is, a good chunk of change. So obviously, Teslas have a longer range, and, there's a lot of perks. But also, even considering a newer Kia EV like the EV6, it's a competitor to the Tesla. Those are $40,000, $50,000. This one's priced under $20,000. So it's a lot more affordable proposition for someone looking for an EV. It only has 38,000 miles on it, so it's a 2017, so it's relatively new, relatively low miles. So a vehicle like this would be a great EV to consider. One of the detractions is range. That's the one thing we think about with range. So a vehicle like this really would be a great complementary vehicle for your family. This just being a vehicle as your only vehicle might be a little bit tougher. Not to say it wouldn't work. If you really don't drive more than 50, 100 miles a day, this would be a little bit more realistic as a only vehicle. But if you do want a road trip, you do want to travel places, this would be a lot less of a vehicle to do it in. It wouldn't make as much sense. You'd have to charge it too much, and so this would make a great vehicle to complement your fleet of vehicles. If you have a less fuel efficient like truck or SUV, you can save on the wear and tear on that and drive that when you need it on road trips. Where on this, you can drive it every day and commute. Like my commute's about 10 miles one way, so about 20-30 miles a day. So this would be perfectly fine for a great commuter vehicle for me. And the energy that I would use commuting to work, I can just go to work and plug it in, and over the course of my work day, since it has a pretty small battery, that energy I use to drive it to work, I'd recapture and put it back in the battery, charging it at work by the time I'm ready to go home. And then when I go home, I can set up, a higher capacity charging, or of overnight charging, I can get a full charge. So it's like having an electric toothbrush. You go home, when you're done with your electric toothbrush, you put it on its charger. Then when you want to use it again, it's fully charged. Just like this, you go home, you plug it in, you wake up the next day, the battery is full. And there's obviously, third-party charging network and stuff like that. There's a lot of chargers parking up at, parking lots and parking garages and parks and stuff like that. So there are places to charge it. So that's basically the spiel. So fully charged range is about 100 miles. You can see right now the battery is charged to about 75%, and it's saying I have about 65 miles of range. Very smooth, very quiet, very powerful. Electric motors make lots of low-end torque, so this thing is actually pretty great vehicle to zip around traffic and stuff. And this one's really clean. It's a clean Carfax West Coast vehicle. It spent most of its life in the California and Seattle area, where we recently took this one on trade. The interior and exterior in beautiful shape, hardly a mark on it. I'd say this thing is almost spotless, I'd say, as far as imperfections go. I mean, this thing is absolutely beautiful. You'll have a hard time, I think, finding one mark on it. Another, I guess, difference between this and maybe like a Tesla is that if you're not into, the learning curve of a Tesla, like I love my Tesla, but using the wiper blades or turning on the headlights or off the headlights is not as simple on a vehicle like this. You have to, use a screen. So if you just want an electric vehicle, but you want to just get in it and drive it just like a regular car that you're used to, this is more along those lines, because this is actually the Kia Soul started off as a gas car, but they made they retrofitted this to make this electric. So it's very similar to functionality as a gas car. So you have nice steering wheel radio controls. You have a regular gear selector on and off switch. This one even has heated seats and automatic climate control. A great sounding audio system. You have most of the data you need as far as range, you know, showing you regenerative braking, how much power you're using. Really nice color combination too, on white, on a gray interior. It looks like it's got almost new tires as well. And yeah, tires is actually one of the biggest maintenance items you're going to be looking at, like of an EV. There's no oil to change, no spark plugs, no catalytic converters to steal. You know, that was one reason why I decided to go towards EVs. You know, as a used car manager, I put vehicles through the shop. You know, on a daily basis, I see what sort of work they need. And you know, I noticed with Teslas is like really the only thing that we were doing on them was you know, changing tires on them as far as maintenance goes. And at the time, I had too many cars. You know, four gas cars with 2 drivers in the family. So you know, and my daily driver was a 150,000 mile Subaru, and you know, which I liked. It was a cool old Subaru, but you know, the catalytic converter went bad, so I had to spend, you know, I don't know, $1,200 to get a new catalytic converter in there. That's something I'm not going to have to worry about on a EV vehicle like this. And it burned oil, so every time I was pumping gas, another thing that you're not going to worry about on a vehicle like this is pumping gas, is every time I had to pump gas, I had to open the hood and check the oil level. And you know, oil's pretty nasty and gross, especially dirty oil from an engine, so I'd have to clean my hands and, you know, check the oil at the gas station. And then I just kind of realized, it's like, I don't need to do this anymore. And you can see here's the electric motor and inverter. It doesn't take up much space compared to a regular gas engine. Fairly simple and straightforward. It still operates on a 12-volt electrical system, so they do have a 12-volt battery that allows you to power up the EV, and you use like the, you know, the climate control system, the radio. It's all powered up to a 12-volt system. And then it has a high capacity battery that powers just the electric motor. And then the 12-volt battery can charge off the battery, so it doesn't go dead, obviously. But you know, just like a regular car battery, they do wear out and they do need to be replaced. So yeah, I was kind of segueing away, but you know, going back to that gas station, yeah, pumping gas and having to add oil to it, you know, that's kind of a pain. And then I think the one thing that kind of pushed me over the edge is it turned out, like when I was getting the car serviced or something, one of the technicians said, hey, you know, your head gasket's starting to go. And at that point, that's a big repair. So the head gasket, the amount of labor it is on my Subaru to replace the head gasket, I could almost buy a you know, remanufactured engine. And again, that, you know, for an older car, it's not as, you know, catastrophic as a newer car, which an engine or head gasket can be a lot more expensive, but it's still like, you know, $3,000–4,000 on a, you know, car that's 20 years of a, you know, 150–60,000 miles on it. So at that point, I'm like, maybe it might be time to get rid of this car. And that's one other thing that you're not going to have to worry about on an EV is a head gasket. Oh, and I also had to replace timing belts too. I forgot about that. And that's another thing you're not going to worry about in the EV, is replacing timing belts. So you can see all that maintenance that I was spending and putting into that old Subaru. When you have an EV, those are all things that you're not going to have to worry about or have to do. And that's when you start saving money. Just like I said, not just on gas, but on maintenance. Well, there is my little long-winded spiel on you know, the benefits of an EV. If you're looking for an affordable EV priced under $20,000, a pre-owned Kia Soul like this would be a great one to consider. Nice, spacious interior, very functional, and a decent amount of range, and very user-friendly, not a big learning curve like going to a Tesla or a Rivian or something like that. Thanks so much for taking the time today to watch this video. Hopefully see you soon, and have a wonderful day.